All right, why don't we get started? Now, the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, JUSAG, has asked its members to stay away from work today, November 13, 2019. In a statement declaring the strike, JUSAG said its numerous calls for salary review for its members had gone unresolved. This is what the statement reads. Following our letter issued on the 1st of November 2019 giving notice of our intended strike action regarding the demand for the salary reviews and negotiations of staff of the Judicial Service, there have been numerous meetings with management and the National Labour Commission. The leadership of JUSAG had also requested the report emanating from the committee set up by the Judicial Council. Unfortunately, we have not received copies of the said report upon several demands. After our meeting with the National Labour Commission on the 11th of November 2019, the leadership of JUSAG had a meeting with our regional executives and our rank and file. Now, they resolved that since we have already complied with the procedures under the 1992 Constitution regarding our conditions of service, we should proceed accordingly. In view of the above, the leadership of JUSAG is left with no option than to declare an indefinite strike action to demand the assenting and implementation of the Judicial Council Committee's report, and that 1. No staff or member of JUSAG shall report to work on Wednesday, 13 November 2019. 2. That until the implementation of the Judicial Council Committee's report, no staff or member of JUSAG shall report to work. 3. The security personnel of the Judicial Service shall, however, report to work to protect life and property. 4. That staff or members of JUSAG are to comply with the above directives and to stay tuned for further notice. And this, of course, is signed by the National President, Alex Norte. Later during the show, we're going to bring you further details on that. But away from it, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will later this morning request parliamentary approval to spend over 80 billion Ghana cedis in the 2020 financial year. JoyNews is learning the budget will announce new tax reforms with special emphasis on income and property tax. A new drive to encourage export will also feature in the presentation. Mr. Ofori-Atta will also propose some significant increase in revenue and expenditure targets that would be outlined in the 2020 budget. Now, there's more in this report.
The 2019 budget was based on the theme, a stronger economy for jobs and prosperity. This has left most Ghanaians asking if indeed this economy has made them more prosperous. Starting off with the macroeconomic indicators, government set some ambitious targets and largely seems to have scored high in that area. GDP growth, for instance, was targeted at 7.6%, but revised to 7.1% on the back on the relatively larger GDP base for 2018, as well as lower projected crude oil and gas volumes. Currently, GDP growth stands at 5.7% for the second quarter of 2019. The International Monetary Fund in April 2019 projected a growth of 8.8%, but in October 2019 revised it to 7.5%. Besides the macroeconomic targets, government also spelled out how much they want to raise in revenue and how much they want to spend. Big figures? Well, let's catch this. Government plan to raise a total revenue and grant of 58.9 billion Ghana cedis, revised down a percentage point to 58.8 billion Ghana cedis. On the expenditure side, an initial of 74 billion Ghana cedis was budgeted for, and after the mid-year review, a total of 85.1 billion Ghana cedis will be spent. Expenditure went up by 6 billion Ghana cedis approximately. Enough of the numbers. What are some of the policy initiatives meant to boost our economic fortunes? The financial sector policy initiatives span across improvement to the Ghana Commodity Exchange, development of the mortgage and housing finance market, as well as positioning Ghana as a financial service hub. Some argue the recent cleanup of the sector is putting us back on the map, but what do you think? Will the problem spell doom the country? This is the first budget of this government out of an IMF program, and we ask, if indeed government can maintain the fiscal discipline they have touted. The 2020 budget will give us a glimpse into the future.
Right, now let's talk about local government. The opposition NDC is urging the electorate to vote no in the upcoming referendum on whether to allow the participation and sponsorship of political parties in MMDCE and local government elections. Addressing journalists at the party's headquarters Tuesday, Chairman Samuel Ofusu-Ampofo said, though the NDC supports amendments for the election of MMDCEs, which requires two-thirds majority in Parliament, it is against any move which will further polarize the country, especially at the local government level. Now, there's more in this report.
Chairman of the party, Samuel Ofusu-Ampofo, said Ghana is already divided on partisan lines. According to him, the one thing that binds Ghanaians is the local governance system, which is run on non-partisan basis and therefore is able to rally all citizens for development.
At the meeting held last Thursday, the neck of the NDC affirmed our long-held position that MMDCs should be elected. We, however, took the view that the local governance system should remain non-partisan and that individuals contest the elections, the Judicial Assembly election and unit committee elections on their own merits. We therefore decided to campaign for no vote at the referendum and to urge all Ghanaians to vote no at the referendum. It is our well-considered view, and indeed that of well-meaning Ghanaians, that the needless NDC-MPP polarization at the national level should not be extended into the district assemblies and unit committees, which is what will happen if we vote to make the local government system partisan.
The party is also citing the cost of electing candidates as one of the reasons it is kicking against the yes vote.
Parties will have to sponsor about 7,000 of their members to participate in the assembly election. And in the unit committee, about 35,000, because for every electoral area, we have 5 unit committee members who are to be sponsored by the political parties. Do the political parties have the needed resources, the money? And you remember that if you want to get people into this position, then it requires that you are going to do primaries to elect members to represent you. And you are doing primaries in 7,000 electoral areas and 35,000 unit committee members.
The NDC is also accusing President Akufo-Addo and some state institutions of deliberately misleading the public to vote yes.
A notice put out by the EC saying, among others, that the referendum is to approve or reject the provision of whether MMDCs are to be voted for or not is palpably falsehood. The government was deliberately misleading people into believing that the referendum is to elect MMDCs, knowing that the election of MMDCs is the people's preference. No less a personality than the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo himself, made this false claim last week. In fact, the NCCE should have called out the President for peddling disinformation and untruth. The Constitutional Amendment Bill 2008 has many ramifications for the smooth, effective, and harmonious administration of the metropolitan and district assemblies. It has to be thought through very well. Unfortunately, the bill as it is now is fatally flawed and cannot form the basis for the referendum to amend 55(3). It must be withdrawn. But if the government insists on making the assemblies partisan, then a new bill must be drafted, re-gazetted, and subject to serious scrutiny by Ghanaians.
Former local government and rural development minister Kwamina Ahoy says election of MMDC on partisan lines is not the cure for the winner-takes-all phenomenon.
Why do you think that it is only the local government system that can stop the winner-takes-all? You can have a constitution that says that a certain number of ministers must be appointed from the opposition. And in any case, when we were fighting for partisan politics. Didn't we know that this is what it is going to result in? In fact, if we change our voting system from first past the post to proportional representation, that is the easiest way of dealing with the winner-takes-all situation.
Now, the Joy Clean Ghana campaign task force on Tuesday discovered that Accra's largest foodstuff market apparently also breeds black rats, whose urine is quite poisonous. Humans who consume food contaminated with the urine, officials say, could develop a number of bacterial diseases such as salmonella and listeria. Nancy Emefajiradosi reports Tuesday's visit to the Agbogboloshi market proved to be yet another horrifying expose on the terrible sanitation situation in the capital city.
Ordinarily, markets are expected to be the cleanest spaces. The Agbogboloshi market is said to be one of Ghana's largest food hubs. In Accra, it is where most bulk buyers go for their stock.
You know, every market there are rules and regulations. In this market,
Madam Florence Kuchi targeted women who were selling on the drains, as she said it was illegal.
we are going to confiscate all the food products that are being displaced on the drain and then remove all the pallet.
Instructions were issued for those who had arranged plantains, kontomire, yam and other foodstuffs on the drain to have their items confiscated.
Any food product on the drain, please carry it. After that, someone say a new motor in front of the drain. Someone
But Madam Florence changed her mind and asked that the pallets be moved from the drains. It was when the pallets were raised that dozens of huge black rats, also known as ratus, jumped out of the gutters into the markets.
Because when we come to distill the drain, they are the very people who fill the drain back with their food products. And you see all the drains are filled up, and you can see maggot growth, and they are selling food on top of the drain. So we are asking them to, so you can see infestation of rodents. Because these rodents like areas that are filthy and dirty with food debris. That is where they like. So we want them to distill the drain right now.
Besides the black rats that got everyone running helter-skelter, the stench emanating from the gutter came out with rotten plantains, bananas, plastics, and of course, all in thick black water.
They have been warned several times. We've confiscated their things several occasions. You see, they are not protesting. If they were not to be aware, they would have started protesting. But because they know that they are not supposed to be here, they are not protesting. You see, they are all running. We saw mice. They are not mice, so these are ratus.
The inspectors announced the team will watch guard all day for the gutters to be desilted.
They will distill the drain until they finish before we leave here.
One by one, they took out their rakes, shovels and long brooms to remove all the trash, only to discover the breeding grounds of the rats. These are pink baby rats, turning and left alone after getting exposed to the sun.
The baby rodents. Mami munyi nyama no, munyi ni nyina free ha. Obi ani nyama wa wall na nim nyina. What are you people doing?
They are the major cause of fire outbreaks in the markets. What they do is that they know the electrical wires, and when they chew the electrical wire, we call it gnawing. But to the layman understanding, when they chew the electrical wires and they get in touch with positive and negative, that is where we get the fire outbreak. Apart from the fire outbreak, they contaminate the food products that they bring for sale because they eat and their hair is contagious. we get the plague. When we talk of plague disease, it's from the rat. So they are very, very harmful and dangerous animals that I think that efforts should be made at the market centers to control their breeding.
But as the market women were clearing, other men joined. Shortly after, more and more people joined. Even after midday, the team was determined to stay.
We are going to be here till everything is clear. Not all, but as we are doing, you see that others are also joining. So they'll keep joining. So we've called for the boiler taxis. The boiler taxis are coming.
Soon, the entire stretch of the shoulder of the road was filled with black waste as other people also entered the gutters to clean. The trash cars were in and the garbage was evacuated. Though they earlier complained about cleaning the gutter, they were impressed with what they were able to achieve and promised to continue.
My idea before, especially Obano said any of papa and Tiasrano said a drew time now every month now airco a Saturday be a baby got and fine. Near CSC Hasenia.
Madam Florence, however, noticed some of the market women were selling rotten tomatoes.
Patrol for tomatoes we can't way home. She can't home. Where are the gas? Please take these tomatoes and go and put it in the car. Hello? Please come and take these tomatoes and go and put it in the car. They are rotten. Yes, they are rotten tomatoes. Still, they are selling it. So we are confiscating it. We are not going to allow them to sell the rotten tomatoes for the people to use it to cook food for us. Most of us take our meal from the roadside, and this is what they use in preparing food for us. Please serve this woman a notice. Part is for her, and serve this woman too.
The team was also impressed with what had been achieved.
It was successful because we've made them to distill. The reason is they are the same people who dispose of the food debris into the drains. So we have asked them to distill, and this is what we call polluter distilled as you generate. So they are collecting their own refuse, and you saw that everybody was inclusive. It was all inclusive. This shows that the education we've been giving them, it is really sinking down into their brains, just that they are refusing to abide by it.
The visit to Agbogboshi will certainly not end here till all the rattles are cleared.
And from Ratus to the Ashanti region, where managers of the Achamfo lorry terminal in Kumasi are facing legal action after the Metropolitan Assembly and Love FM, as well as Inshira FM Sanitation Task Force, found the public toilet there has no septic tank. As a result, effluents from the facility is discharged into the Kejetia drain. The market in the Mrum suburb also operates in a rather filthy environment. Love FM's Erastus Asari-Donko was with the team. Here's his report.
Sitting deep in the center within the Kejetia enclave, the Achamfo terminal is a transit point for thousands of commuters. Beneath the beautiful edifice, sadly, is a huge environmental crisis. A heavily littered environment, choked filthy drains left uncleaned for days with an unbearably pungent smell. The terminal has one public toilet with an estimated 500 visits or more a day in the absence of a septic tank, confirmed by failure of managers to show one.
Which train is the one at the market? Okay. That's where they have connected the pipe into it. They don't have the tank. Yes, the one here is not working. So, told you that we don't have. It's just that where is the septic tank? I said I don't know where it is. So without that, I see that you are opening you are just defecating directly in the drain. So, Director, is that your name again? I'm Victor. Mr. Victor, I have asked you to tell me where the septic tank or the toilet is. It's unfortunate you are not able to tell me. So I'm closing the toilet down. Make sure you observe it. Don't open it because the toilet is not having septic tank. From today, unless I see the septic tank, you can't operate. So I'm closing it today and ensure that it is closed and closed for unless you have got the septic tank.
So the over 5 500 people a day who visit the public toilet here at Accra Market defecate directly into this drain right here. They pump their fecal matter directly through this hole you see behind me, and so you can see direct raw fecal matter in there, and this is where they use as a septic tank.
The task force was left with no option but to seize all uncovered food being sold at the terminal.
What I saw here is not the best. So do that. However, I will take you on. That one, you say the name is what? Victor what? Better Sachi. I will come and issue a summon to you to appear before the court to explain to them why you have allowed the place to be filthy like that.
But I cannot argue with you, sir. But I've taken everything that you've said. We will try to keep the place tidy henceforth. When you come the next time to verify, you will see such a thing.
But where is your septic tank? Because you're operating a public toilet
like I said,
without a septic tank.
Like I said, I don't know where it is at the moment.
And on that note, we wrap up this morning's news headlines. But of course, the show is just about to begin. We're live from Parliament as well as from our studios here in Kokomlemle, and we're going to really delve into the budget for you today. Stay tuned. It all kicks off after these.